We're going to talk about Normalization Exercise 6. There are two parts of this exercise. Part 1 is normalization. We will do it together. Part 2 is to create the entity relationship diagram in your design tool. That's your assignment. In this exercise, we are designing an internal job referral database. Here is the design document. We are going to use the closed foot notation, and we will normalize our design to the third normal form. Pay very close attention to the business rules. On the right, we have our unnormalized form. This form has a composite primary key consisting of applicant ID and job ID. We are ready to take our design from UNF to the first normal form. Going from UNF to the first, there are several things we need to pay attention to. Do we have any composite attribute? Do we have any multi-value attribute? Do we have any repeating group? Or do we have any many-to-many relationship? We have several composite attributes, and there is a repeating group. We need to fix them. Think about how we can fix them. We corrected the composite attributes by splitting them into atomic attributes. We corrected the repeating group issue by creating a new entity address. This design conforms to the first normal form. Because we just made some changes, therefore, we need to go back to the very beginning of the normalization process to confirm our design indeed still conforms to the first normal form. And yes, it does. We are ready to take our design from the first normal form to the second normal form. Going from first to the second, there's only one thing we need to pay attention to. Do we have any partial dependency? There are two partial dependencies in referral. We need to fix them and think about how we can fix them. We corrected the partial dependencies by creating two new entities, applicant and job. This design conforms to the second normal form. We need to go back to the very beginning of the normalization process, and we need to confirm this design conforms to the first normal form and the second normal form. We are ready to take our design from the second normal form to the third normal form. Going from the second to the third, there's only one thing we need to pay attention to. Do we have any transitive dependency? Yes, there is a transitive dependency in referral. We need to fix it and think about how we do it. We corrected the transitive dependency by creating a new entity, employee. This design conforms to the third normal form. And we also need to go back to the very beginning of the normalization process, and we need to confirm this design conforms to the first, the second, and the third normal forms. Just keep in mind the normalization process is iterative. Whenever we make a change, we need to go back to the very beginning of the process just to make sure when we correct something, we do not introduce any new issue. Now, we need to implement the specific business rules about addresses. Remember, we need to store the address history for an applicant, and several applicants may have the same address. The best way to implement these rules is to create a new associative entity between address and applicant. We did just that. We created a new entity, a new associative entity named applicant address. Now go back to the very beginning of the normalization process, and we need to confirm this design conforms to the first, the second, and the third normal forms. Yes, it does. We're done with normalization. Now, let's talk about your assignment. You need to create a complete entity relationship diagram in your design tool. Please do not add any new entity or new attribute. We need to establish relationship between entities. When we do that, pay very close attention to multiplicity and the type of a relationship. They are used for implementing the business rules. We want to avoid unnecessary relationships. Unnecessary relationships clutter our design. They also degrade the performance of our database and applications. Lastly, make sure we label all primary keys and foreign keys. This is the end of our discussion.